You guys hear the music, or am I just singing to myself? I see Jessica bobbing her head, and I saw Laura smile, so I'm like, I think the music works, but who knows, right? So, when's in the chat? Let's go, let's go. Y'all are going to want to stick around. I promise you. You're going to want to stick around for this one, especially if you're a guest. It's going to be pretty sizzle. That's going to rock your sizzle. Those are technical sizzles. How many of you guys, be real, don't like talking to buyers about commitments? Be real. How many of you guys don't like talking to buyers about commitments? Be real. Yeah. Why not? Why don't you like talking to buyers around commitment? I'm going to have to stand up for this. If you guys don't use the chat, I'm just going to go drink coffee and go for a walk. Oh, if we're not going to turn on our cameras, we're not going to participate, and I'm just going to go take a walk. I'm just saying, if I don't see more cameras on, and I don't see more people in the chat, like, it's got to get real. I know. I know. I know. I know. I'm going to order another coffee because nobody's using the chat. Nobody's using the chat, so I'm going to order another coffee. And I'll wait for you guys to put in the chat. Let's go. Let's put them in the chat. Una like, por favor. Una latte, por favor. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Major listing appointment for Friday. I'm here. Vic, could you please repeat that question? I have no idea what I said. Me das una latte, por favor. Gracias. Leche normal. Uh, Better. Is that what you were talking about? Two flip offers went yesterday. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Daniel's at Target. Where's he coming around? I have no idea what this guy. Connor, welcome. Eric, welcome. Hannah, John. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Spotlight. Gallery. All right. So, come on, I'm for reals. I know. It's too good, Laura. We had to stop it though. It's too much. It was too much energy. The people couldn't handle it. The people couldn't handle it, and it was too much energy, and so we had to take it away from them because it was too much for them to handle. And they weren't behaving in the chat because they weren't using it. So aggressive language, brother. Like we have
recording in progress.
I said it right.
We have to work on language. All right, you guys. So I'm just going to give you the playbook. If you're a guest today, like, I'm just going to give you the playbook.
They won't know what to do with it.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Who said that, Sandra Lucas?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought
I was muted. So you guys, Sandra is correct. You won't know what to do with it because most of us are still rocking the old school, right? But if you're a guest, I'm going to give it to you. And like I say to people when they come into my team, there's enough there that you can either hang yourself or you can pull yourself up. The problem is most people end up hanging themselves because you haven't done the foundational work. And because you haven't done the foundational work, you don't have a structure to stand on. And you all being in real estate, it's crazy because we don't want to do the foundational work. We think that we can just show up and wing it. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. But, right, I'm going to give it to you. You're going to have to do a little work for it, right? You're going to have to do a little work for it, but I'm going to give it to you. And it's going to blow your minds right out of the back of your heads. Like like somebody shooting a watermelon out of a slingshot 700 feet in the air. So we're just going to get into it. Who was here last week? Yeah. You will perform at the level of your preparation. You will not overperform. You will not exceed, but you will perform at the level of your preparation. And it's why all the greats spend more time. My buddy posted something on one of his pages a couple days ago. He said, if I had 14 days to get a listing, what would I do? And everybody started posting all of the activity they would do. You know what's so funny? Nobody talked about the preparation they would take to get there. I would figure out who would I even want to call, dial, door knock? Would it be people in my sphere? Would it be circle prospecting? Where would that data come from? I'd prepare that information. And then you know what I would do for the next 10 days? You guys aren't going to like this because nobody wants to work in this industry. And it's not just your industry, it's all industries. I can tell you, like I coach salespeople all day long inside of my business and yours. Nobody wants to work. Everybody wants the gold and the glamour. Una segundo. But everybody thinks that like the glory comes easy. And so I would study for 10 days and sharpen the shit out of my tools. I would role play, I would practice, I would write, I would script. You guys, I always have paper, I always have pencil. Cody and I are working on a new framework for our company. I was like, damn, I really need my printer in the office. He's like, they have a printer downstairs. I'm like, I'm about to print up 600 pages though. He's like, yeah, they're going to hate you. And I'd print it up and I'd write it out and I'd rewrite it and I'd say it and I'd re-say it and I'd write it and I'd re-say it and I'd say it and I'd write it and I'd re-say it. And you know why I have a pencil? Because nothing is permanent when it comes to sales. Nothing is permanent. You're all looking for the perfect script, but you're not listening to understand, which is why Sandra at the beginning said, you're not going to understand some of the shit I say, which is why you're going to completely fucking butcher it. Or you're not going to use it. But if you go to module 3, sales psychology in the school portal, if you're a guest, you don't get access to it. It's not a free thing. Like my education that I put into myself and my work is not free. You have to pay for access. But if you're a guest, I will give you a lot of free stuff today. That'll blow your mind like a watermelon dropping from a 400-story building. Here's the thing. Who's got their shit unmuted? Who do we need to mute? Joey, I'm going to mute you, bro. Sharon posted that people who swear are more likely to be like, what did he say on his Instagram? So I'm just going to swear my face off. Yeah.
It's a sign of intelligence.
And more trustworthy. It's what Sharon put on there. So I'm just going to swear. If you don't like it, you should probably leave now. I would work for 10 days and I would call for 4. And I would outproduce everybody. Hands down, I'd outproduce everybody because I put in more foundational work than everybody else that was just doing with the dull weapon. I would outproduce everybody. And I tell my team, I say, look, you guys want to get on calls because you think that's where you're going to make money, but you're not prepared. But I'll put you on calls. I'll spend $350 an appointment. I'll put you guys out there. And you can go and bang your head up against the wall, and everything that I tell you that's in my framework and my script will come back into reality. And you'll be like, hey, Vic, how'd you know that? Because I've been in your seat before. I've done over 1,000 buyer presentations. Has anybody in here done more than 100 buyer consultations in the last year and a half, 2 years, 3 years? Just put a 1. Put 100, actually. Okay, so don't change what I'm about to give you. Okay? Janet's done 100. Okay, so Janet's the only person who has my permission to do whatever she wants. But she probably won't because she's like, well, why would I want to be here and do whatever I want? Because that doesn't make sense. So here it is. All right? How do we get the commitment? There's 2 frameworks that I wish you guys would memorize One is DHIS. So when you get an objection from somebody, I want you guys to write this down. DHIS. It stands for disarm, humanize, isolate, solve. What you were trained inside the world of sales was to solve. We need to slow down. Disarm, humanize, isolate, solve. I don't have time to get into it today, but if you guys are in the portal, go find it, go study it, go learn it. The second one is the PSWT framework. Okay. Problem, solution, W, what's in it for them? And we need a T. And this is tie down questions. Gracias, amiga. Hi, got my coffee. You guys you did this to yourself. You did this. You guys didn't use the chat. I gave them a warning, Jessica, Jan. I warned them. Problem, solution, what's in it for them, tie downs. Some of you are good at what's in it for you, but not what's in it for them. Most of you don't use any tie down questions. All right. Again, I don't have time to get into all of this. I'll show you what I mean as we go through it. I'm probably not going to get through everything here today either because there's a lot. Okay. So when you ask for the commitment, let's just move this around. I'll make your guys' lives easier. Too nice, Jessica. Too nice. Okay. No, I'm not going to give you this right now because I need you to pay attention. If I give it to you right now, you guys are going to start reading ahead. And I know how you work because I work the same freaking way. So just chill. Chill, boo. So here's what we do when we ask for the commitment. Gracias. So as you can see, now you guys see that there's 16 steps before this. Nobody's going to drop the script in the chat because if you do, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to give you the whole thing. If you're a guest, don't ask. That's rude. That wouldn't be very nice. My life's work in here. But you can see there's 15 steps that go before this. And I'll tell you, it's not asking if they're pre-approved, and it's not asking exactly what you're looking for at the beginning of the presentation. Like, so tell me, what kind of house are you looking for? That is not how you win in this market. Okay, so as you can see, we have a blueprint. It's a step-by-step process, which means when you hire us to be your agent, we implement these based off of your timelines to make sure you get the home that you want at the price that you want with the terms that you want. And for this, there are some commissions that are paid, which is reasonable for the work done, correct? I need interaction here because this is called a tie down question, right? That's a tie down question. Did you guys understand the tie down question? That's another form of a tie down question. A tie down question is where they give you a commitment or they give you a question that you can answer. Because the most important part about this is that you have a blueprint. Okay, I'm gonna underline this for you. You have a step-by-step process. I'm gonna underline this for you. It's based off of their timelines. I'm gonna underline this for you. And it's gonna get you, and this is the most important thing for you, is that it's reasonable that there's a commission that's being paid for the work that's being done. So in this first opening sentence, right? I know it's a run-on sentence. I barely graduated from school. Third grade education is what the U.S. understands. You can go to an app called Hemingway. If it's past fourth grade, you are losing the attention span of human beings because most of us are trained to have a third to fourth grade comprehension. That's why when you go to a doctor's office, you immediately feel intimidated by a doctor and a lawyer because they're speaking at a high level, engineers, right? They're speaking at a higher level, so we immediately feel intimidated. So we build this to be very basic English because people can comprehend things. When they comprehend things, they have clarity. When they have clarity, they make choices. Okay? So we have a blueprint. We have a step-by-step process. It's based off of your timeline. And for that, it's reasonable that you would pay something for it. Or somebody would be paying something for it. because you are salespeople. Salespeople go out, they prospect, they convert, they nurture, they help people in a transaction where money is exchanged for services. That is the definition of sales. And for that, commissions are paid. It's very normal. Are we tracking yes or yes in the chat? Give me a 1 if we're tracking in the chat. If we're not, like, we will spend time on this paragraph. Do you see a lot of patterns and languaging in this first paragraph? Don't change it. Don't change it. Please don't change it. Now, this is a very important question, because if you don't ask this question right here, you're going to get objections at the end. You can pre-handle objections, which is what I would rather you do, or you could post-handle objections. Do you think once you talk about commissions, it's easier to pre-handle, or it's better to post-handle? Like, once you start talking about money, what do people only think about at that point? Anybody? You can unmute yourselves. I don't care.
Money?
And is it harder to now handle their questions when money is brought up because there's fear, there's anxiety, right? Oh my God, that's so expensive. It never used to be like this, right? So when do we want to handle people's concerns, before or after? But what have you been taught? Become an awesome objection handler. You just have to ask a few more questions. You got to slow down to speed up. You're going to spend the same amount of time. Yes, this is a long process. Embrace it, enjoy it, and love it. It will change your business. Okay, good. Now, if they say they wanted to cover something, you would cover it. Hey, I had some questions around X, Y, and Z. If you're going to cover it, right, then you cover it. If you haven't covered it, now would be the time to do it. So there's blah, blah, blah. So, hey, what I can do with your permission is go over everything and kind of like the 4 ways of compensation. You might have 2, you might have 6, you might have 37. I don't know. That seems like a lot, but I'm going to cover 4. Okay. With your permission, I can go over how we're compensated. Would that be helpful if I did that? We're asking for permission twice in that statement. With your permission, would it be helpful? Yes and yes. We're getting a couple of yeses. We're getting their permission, and now we are allowed to shift gears from service to actually asking for business. Okay, it's a shift in the pattern of the entire process. We are shifting the entire process, because before we were giving. Now we're asking. And for that shift, we need permission, because we're changing the frame of the entire conversation here. Now, your energy should go up. Your confidence should go up. Your enthusiasm should stay the same. You don't want to get all happy, puppy, and weird on them just because you're talking about money. It's just money. It's no big deal. Don't get all weird on me, okay? Got to put some butter in my coffee. I'm trying to fast, but, you know, just. If they're 3 years from now, if they're a year out, are you sure they're a year out? Like, you went through the whole process, everything's there, like they're fully a year out? Because a lot of people say they're a year out, but they're actually 6 months. And can't you put dates in the contract, like when it starts and when it ends? I don't know all the legalities, y'all. I don't know all the legalities. If it's a credit score and it's a divorce, then no, I'm not going to ask for the agreement here, because it doesn't make sense, right? If it doesn't make sense, you guys know what nonsense means? It means no sense. It's the absence of sense. If you feel like it doesn't make sense, then it's nonsense. And if it's nonsense, it's the absence of sense, which is what we're built with humans, is our gut. This is when we would pull out our calendar. Exactly right, Laura. You guys, Laura wakes up 30 minutes a day just to study. She wakes up half an hour earlier every day and she just studies. And this is why she understands how to build the calendar close. Like, super proud of you, Laura, because this is how you build follow-up. And so if you've gone through the first module or the second module of the buyer presentation, I think it's the second, right? 4:30, it's so amazing. Your life is going to change for that half an hour, I promise you. It's probably like 90 minutes since you met me, but it's an additional half an hour now, like 60 days, 70 days into it. This is where you build a calendar. I don't have time to go into that because there's too much other stuff to go. So there's two big changes here. Now, if they've not bought a home in a long time, they probably didn't have the commissions that they were potentially responsible for. So that's why we're going to bring this up. There's two big changes that happened to a lawsuit. You may have heard of it. Honestly, I think they're for the better. The two changes are as a buyer's agent can no longer work, right, without an authorized agreement, right? And second, a listing office can no longer directly compensate the buyers, which just means we have a couple of options to discuss. Cool? Cool. Are you guys starting to get the bigger picture of why we have the conversation laid out the way we do? It's to take them through a step-by-step process from I'm very fearful of what's going to happen because I want your representation to what? To, oh, that's not super bad. Okay, I guess that's not horrible. All right, cool. So we have to remind them that buying a home is nuanced. And I like to be a little bit sarcastic. Maybe you don't, and that's okay. But I'm going to be a little sarcastic because I'm sarcastic. So I'm going to be like, yo, buying a home's kind of nuanced, right? Who would have thought? Who would have thought by looking at all the Instagram posts of just happy homeowners holding keys with no processes? But one of the biggest problems when buyers come to us is the same thing you had mentioned. Insert what their problem was here. So when you go through the process and you ask questions, they're going to tell you things that they're fearful of. They're going to tell you, well, the last time I bought a home, my agent never picked up the phone. The last time I bought a home, this happened. The last time I bought a home, that happened. Hey, my friend just bought a home and he was complaining at dinner about X, Y, and Z. All the things that you guys complain about agents are the same thing that consumers complain about agents. Insert 1 to 2 of those problems here. Remind them of the thing that they don't want to happen. Because if we don't remind them, they're going to forget. Because what's the attention span of the average American in the North right now? Small.
20 seconds.
It's like 3. Hence why I have to keep asking you guys questions and entertain the fuck out of you. Because our attention span, due to lovely old TikTok, and I can prove it because all you guys have to do is go to your Instagram, look at your insights, and look at how much your average time that people watch your shit is. It's less than 3 seconds. Because we have been taught to this. So they want to have representation, as this is one of the largest purchases and is by far one of the most complex purchases we can make, but compensation comes up. Are you guys okay just nailing it on the head with me? Can we just nail this on the head? Like, is it okay if we just nail this on the head? Do you guys think that compensation is one of the biggest concerns that prospects have when it comes to buying a home with an agent in today's market? I can wait. I have nothing but time. You guys don't think compensation is one of the biggest concerns that your prospects have? What is it?
I guess it varies, but like getting, yeah, I was gonna say finance, affordability, interest rates.
And doesn't affordability come in the form of compensation to an agent if they have to pay for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess so, that if they're not aware.
Well-informed buyers are not informed well, because if they're informed well, they would never go into court without an attorney. Uninformed buyers don't want to pay for compensation if it's necessary. Because why would they not want to pay? Lena, I'm always good at proving the point. Why would a buyer not want to pay for what's available in most of the markets when it comes to buying a home? Because
they never have.
They never have, but they've always paid. We always pay commissions as buyers.
They never knew they did.
It wasn't brought to their attention. And what else? What do we do as agents when it comes to the buy side? We glorify the result, not the process. So many people become agents because they glorified what? $1 million listing, but they never glorified what? The process that they went to get there. I've coached with Frederick Eklund. My first year in real estate, I sat next to him for 2 full days. You know how hard that dude worked before he even got his first deal? Most people would have quit. Now everybody, oh, he's so rich, he's so successful, oh, he's got his funny little... None of that would have existed if he quit. Michael Jordan, none of that would have existed if he quit in high school. Wouldn't have known him. We glorify the results, but not the process. And it's the same thing we do in real estate. Everybody posts on Instagram the keys, but nobody posts about the buyer's late night session where you guys had to talk about all the crazy stuff that happens in a home sale. And it's because some of you were never taught to do that. It's not your fault, but it's definitely your problems. And we don't want to learn a process because it's hard. And we didn't get into this business to have to work. We got in this business for the results. But the results don't come unless we do this work. And it's the same thing for them. So you can use an analogy, right? So this is an analogy. I just like to use the car buying experience. It's pretty hard. Anybody here ever bought a car? We know Matt's driving one. He doesn't have to have the camera on, but we know he's currently driving one because we can see the steering wheel. He's driving like on a racetrack or something. She's like left and left and left and oh my gosh, right. And another left. Oh, we got another left coming. Oh my gosh. Anybody ever buy a car? Was it fun? I take that chuckle as a no. And what's crazy is we go into buying a car unrepresented. And who is the person that we are using to represent us in the car buying experience? The representative that works for who? The company. So it's in all of their best interest to do what? Take advantage of us. They are all working collectively to screw us out of our money. And yet we openly and happily pay them. Using analogies helps people see that it's crazy not to have what? Representation. Because uninformed buyers think what? The biggest problem in buying a home is their approval. Let me tell you, the biggest problem in buying a home is the problems you can't see and that they don't know. But who does know those? You, my friends. Maybe you don't know them as well as you should, but that's why we learn and that's why we have the community to ask questions to. So I like to use the car analogy because everybody's pretty much bought a car. And if they're buying a house, they probably have bought multiple cars. So it's the same thing here. The buyer comes to us. The biggest problem they have is they need to find a home. They need to get proper advice. They need to get strategies. They need protection against who? The seller, but they don't know actually how to obtain it with the new laws and commissions. See, even you guys thought that the biggest hurdle for a buyer was their pre-approval because that's what you've been taught. But the biggest hurdle for the buyer is that nobody sat down with them for 60 to 70 minutes and actually shared what the step-by-step process was. This is why it's important that we learn the buyer consultation before we learn the listing presentation. It's so important that we do what's right. Because the number one rule of sales is do what's right for the prospect, not what's good for you. It's not good for you to have to spend time to learn this, but it's good for your prospect. Can we put a 1 in the chat? Do you see why we stress the importance? Because you all say you're relationship based, but you're only relationship based as far as you can get a paycheck. I like it when people say no to me after a good process. I like it because you know what I don't need to do with that person anymore is ever talk to them again. Because chances are we covered everything under the sun and we're just not the right fit for each other. And I'm going to go find somebody who wants to work with me. But I'm also really good at showing people that the other options out there are not as good of an option as me. Because I spend 10 days sharpening my sword and 4 days using it. Most people spend 0 time sharpening their sword, and then they wonder why. Like, I don't have a pencil sharpener. Look at how it's a hard pencil to write with. You have to keep turning the angles. Got to keep turning the angles so it keeps self-sharpening. But now we got down to like the wood part. It's kind of like, I got new ones over there, but I like to keep like self-sharpening my pencils. I'm a weirdo. So far, what questions do you guys have? Because there's a lot of psychology, there's a lot of NLP, there's tie downs, right? There's a lot of stuff in here. What questions do you have so far? Holly, I don't beat anybody up. I'm a gentle giant. Just a teddy bear. Just a big teddy bear. What questions do we have so far? What questions? No questions. So that means everybody fully understands and they're going to implement immediately. How many people last week, your mind was a little fried after we went over like how to structure offers? Joey, the fact that you don't know where this is in the portal kills me right now. Module 3, the whole thing is there. But I will give you this separate, but you have the whole thing in module 3. What questions do we have? Don't get nervous that it's page 35. It's like size 16 font because I'm blind. If you make it normal font, it's like 11 pages. No questions? Keep moving. No questions? Keep moving. Okay, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Okay. So the way we solve that for you, problem, solution, remember, so here's the problem. This right here is the problem, everybody, right? So this is the problem. You guys see how before we ask for a commitment, we talk first problem, PSWT, right? So problem, okay? Here's your problem. So the way we solve that, solution, PSWT. So now we're going to talk about the solution. First, we help you find a by First, we find you a home by using our systems to manufacture inventory. We then help you not just write an offer, because anybody can do that, but we help you predict the market and the activity, right? So when we craft a competitive offer that the listing agent can present to the seller, it's going to make you shine in the best light. I know there's typos, you guys, get over it. The way we write and the way we talk are two different things. Number 3, it's not over yet, because they think that's where it ends. Is that correct? Don't most buyers think you just put an offer in and then boom, you show up with the house a couple days later and you're like, I don't want to take a picture for your Instagram? Helena, how long did we talk and how many conversations did we have when you joined me? I've done 1,000 of these. I did 3-hour Cutco presentations. Now those were long-winded. Those are also $1,800 sales with 125 referrals. The presentation wasn't 3 hours. Getting the referrals was an hour. Just sat there and wrote. Sharpen that sword. When you got 100 referrals, you pick the best 5. Those people buy a lot more. Yeah, 3 1-hour calls, and you kept coming back for more, and now look, you're here. Don't think, just do. Just telling you. Don't think, do. How big is this decision? Can you guys see my screen? Yeah? How big is the decision of buying a home? Is there an out after you buy the home? Is there a way to back out in most markets? Is there like a cool off period after escrow and title and everything's done? Don't you guys spend a lot more time chasing leads and driving them to homes that they never should have even looked at in the first place? I don't care where you spend your time. You're going to spend it with people. You can either shave your front end and have a long back end, or you can shave your back end by having a little bit more of an intense front end. But I don't just get people. You guys, if I showed somebody more than 10 houses, I'd come and throw shit in my office. Assistant's like, oh, fuck. What? Vic just got back. How many houses did you show that person? 14? I'd be pissed. And they saw 3 that they shouldn't have seen. I'd be pissed. Why? Because I didn't do a good job at the beginning. Some of you guys think that's normal. I think showing houses is abnormal. You should be so locked in and targeted after your buyer consultation, and they should know exactly what the process is. It should be so locked and loaded that you are out there showing only the right houses. You should be doing the research before you get in the car and looking at the properties online and talking to the agents to make sure that those houses they can actually buy. We're not showing agents. We don't get paid for showing houses. We get paid for writing winning offers that go to completion. The number one question I get is, isn't this a long process? Yes. Yes, it is. I don't care if you do it. But if I were in your situation and I prove it by every single one of you, Matt Clark and I had 2 67-minute conversations. I could go around the room and just pinpoint how many of you guys we had to have a second conversation with because you had fear about moving forward. And I have the fathoms to prove it. You cut corners here, you get it in the back, you do the front, you close more deals. It's your choice how you want to work. I don't like to work very hard, so I'm going to do my best job I can on the front. And even if that means it takes a little bit of extra time on the front, I know that on the back you guys are committed. So I would do it personally. And I've done a lot, probably more than this whole room combined, and there's 31 people in here. So like, you do what you want. But I'm going to say it's not too long. And people at the end of it will say, oh my God, thank you so much. Okay. So the way we solve it is you got your 5 steps that you remind them of. And what that means for you, problem, solution, what's in it for them. So this is our solution. It's 5 steps, right? You might slightly change it based off of your market. What's in it for you is that you're going to get the home you want, the price you want, and the terms you want, right? If they say no, or I don't understand, you need to stop and figure out what's going on that they don't understand. And by having us on your side, what does that mean for you? This is a commitment question. This is a tie down commitment question. And what would it mean if you, like, right, Janet? Like, what would it mean if we were on your side when you went through this process? Oh my God, it would mean this and it would mean that and it'd be blah, 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 blah. Let them talk through this process. Let them ask their questions here, because this is how we pre-handle their concerns, right? Because they have them. They just might not feel comfortable because you didn't let them talk. And then we're going to tie them down again. So you see how this would be beneficial, so you don't have to lose out on your dream home and miss the opportunity to go back into their overarching goals. You see how we tie back their overarching goal from the beginning of the conversation. We don't just ask these questions because we want to get a commission. We ask these questions because we care. And then we're going to ask them another tie down question. What part of our process do you feel would be the most beneficial? Let them talk. Because you just did a lot of talking right here. You just did like 4 minutes of talking, 5 minutes of talking. So you need to let them share some stuff with you. And then why do you feel like that would be the most important things for you to have in this market? These are commitment questions. And I mean, before we go into compensation, do you feel like I would be the right agent for you to assist in buying the home that you actually want? This is all commitment right here. If they don't want you to help them buy their home, what did you miss that you can solve here? Because at the end of the presentation and you talk about compensation, if they don't want you and they don't like you for some reason, it's too late to come back and save it. It's too difficult. It's hard. Like, objection handling is really hard if you don't know upfront what you're handling. And most of us just start going into like spray, like shotgun mode. It's just like pop, pop, pop. We just throw BBs everywhere. We hope one of them lands. But I want to be really targeted. I want to be really focused. So if there's any opportunity for them to say no, let's get it before the conversation around compensation, not afterwards, because it's just that much harder. And we want this to be fun and easy and collaborative, not super challenging and difficult, like working with my interior designer to build this wall and get a table. Super difficult because her communication is horrible. Okay? So here's how we get compensated. There's 4 ways in today's market, and to be real, they're pretty similar to the past. They're just nuanced. But let's work through them. And then here's your 4 ways, right? Pretty sure this is how most of you guys get compensated. The first is we write it into the listing, right, as a credit. This is rare because most sellers offer something. But any questions how around this works? Yes, I do. Answer their questions. Second form is we work with your financing partner. We get them to kind of roll the fee into the loan, or however the technology and the terminology is. Update the records based off of your market. Okay. Can't write this for 51 states. Y'all are tough right now. 51. Taylor got it. The third is a hybrid model, right? You would pay a portion, the seller would pay a portion. The fourth is still the most common. The seller offers some sort of compensation. directly to me in my office, and it's just like it used to be, what we found in the light of the media attention, right? This is still the most common way. This is the direct, right? But this is not a direct offer to our office. It's the listing is being, right? And you just explain it. Questions around how this works? Actually, any questions? No, that's not the right words. What questions? Where's my cash? What questions? Let's update this. What questions do you have around compensation? Or anything we covered above? Questions around this? I don't understand your question, Helena.
Okay, I wondered. So sometimes I hear what you're saying definitely about wasting time, not showing all these homes if you don't need to. But sometimes I have found that, like, if buying a home is emotional,
Yep.
there can be some times where you can still have a happy transaction by showing a home that might not check all the boxes, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So should you show homes that might not fit the boxes?
Well, there are, obviously we do the must-haves and then would like to haves, right? So like,
You build your catalyst home.
yes. So like sometimes, most people have that one or two things where they'd like to have it, but it's not like a must-have.
Yeah. You just have the conversation before you go
So-
out and show the home.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. Okay.
Yeah, like you guys, this isn't a perfect science, but there's a lot of people that are looking for cookie cutter homes. And so if you're looking at a cookie cutter home and then you all of a sudden like show this house that's completely not in the realm of what we have ever discussed, and it makes no sense under logic to show the home, we just slow down and be like, hey guys, where did this random outside of the spectrum home come from? Well, we really like the kitchen and we really just want to see the design of it. Okay, so we're going to see the home because of the design of the kitchen, not because you want to buy the home. Well, we could buy the home if it had X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't. In fact, it has nothing even close to X, Y, and Z. So are we looking at the home for the kitchen design, or are we looking at the home because we're kind of interested in it? I can show you that property. I just want us to make sure that, like, I'm not doing a bunch of research on it and getting the agent all jacked up and excited that we're going to bring over an award-winning offer. You just want to see the kitchen. Yeah, we just want to, okay, cool. So it's not a rush either to see it in. No. Okay. Can we focus? Like, I get you want to see the design of the house, but can we focus on what you're looking for? Because this market is tight with inventory. Can we focus our energy and our time on what you're actually interested in versus kind of just like the design of the kitchen? Oh, that makes sense, Vic. Okay, so we could put this one on the back burner for now. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. And now we don't see that house. But if it's a house that they could possibly buy, it's just the flip of the conversation. Well, Vic, it actually, we've been looking at houses and we've been talking, we're doing some open house stuff, and we realized like we don't really want to be near X, Y, and Z, and everything we've seen is like makes perfect sense of what we told you. We think we might want to expand our search into this market over here. And so, okay, so this might be the new catalyst home. Yeah, we're thinking that this might be the new, okay, cool. Let's go take a look at it. If it's not though, can we just crumple that up, throw it away, and Air Jordan that and just not look at homes in that neighborhood anymore? Yeah, totally. Okay. So you crumple it up and you throw it away, or you put it into your file as this is the new catalyst home. Remember, people don't buy because of choices, they buy because of clarity. The more options we have at the buffet, the less we know what we want to eat. The less options we have at the buffet, the more clear. Like you go to a menu and there's 5 options, you're like, I'll take the steak. Thank you. You go to like Hometown Buffet and it's just like food for days. You're like, I don't even know where to start. You got to take a lap first around the whole buffet to come back to where you want to start because you're not clear. So you're giving yourself clarity. Okay, I want this and I want that. I want this. And then you end up with so much stuff you don't know where to start eating, and you end up feeling like shit because you eat everything or you throw away a bunch of stuff. Clarity is what gives us the ability to go out and do. What this conversation does is it gives your prospect clarity of the process moving forward around compensation. Now, there's a conversation around commissions as well that's about 7 minutes long, right? If you're really not good at this, it'll take you probably a little bit longer. If you're better at it, it'll be shorter. If you don't practice and you wing it, you'll probably throw some stuff out, but at least you're having conversations that walk them through somewhat of a process, which is better than what 99% of people did and are doing right now in this market. Was this helpful?
Yes, thanks for the clarity.
Yeah, no worries. Like,
I guess I didn't.
Go.
I was gonna say, I guess I didn't realize people actually were showing non-catalyst homes like that. So, but I do exactly what you were saying, so that helped.
No, people go out and they show houses in markets that don't even make sense. Like, why did you show that house? They wanted to see it. That's not a good reason. Your gas costs money. Well, they'll make it when they buy. What if they don't buy? Which happens often to agents. Buyers are liars and sellers are tellers. No, it's just a lack of a process. That's why we slow down to speed up. If you're a guest and you want this, you got to go do work. Go find me on Instagram, Coach Vikram Diol. Add me as a friend. Right? Add me as a friend and then type the word in the chat, right? You got to go send me a DM and type the word commitment. All right? Type the word. So Coach Vikram Diol, type the word commitment if you're a guest and you want this framework. Probably don't want it. It's fine. It's not that good. But that's what you're going to do, commitment. So if you're a guest and you want this, if you're already part of the program, you don't need this. It's already in module 3. Just go print it up. It's section 16. And I know there's a lot of sections. You guys are going to wing it and cut a bunch of it out. So it's fine. It's okay. It's still better than what 99% of the people do. What questions do you guys have around asking for the conversation, asking for compensation? What questions do you guys have around this? Oh, there's my Instagram in the chat. Thanks, Jessica. What questions do you guys have specifically around what we just talked about? This is a good time to ask questions. I'm shocked. No questions, Edwin. I don't want to be responsible for your commission. Let me ask you this first, Joey. How would you rank your buyer presentation on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being, holy shit, I crushed it out of the ballpark. 1 being, I feel like I was playing hot potato with a red hot, flaming piece of iron. You can unmute yourself, bro.
Let's assume that my buyer presentation is a solid 3 out of 10. But the issue is, what if the buyer knows that they don't have the money to pay for any agent's compensation?
Then you don't show them houses that they can't buy. And if they want to buy that house, they go in unrepresented. I mean, that's really all there is. I haven't heard too many horror stories though where the seller's not willing to pay some sort of a compensation based off the terms of the agreement.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, I had one buyer in December that said, I don't want to be responsible for your compensation. And I said, okay, I'll try to get it out of the seller. And I did it.
Yeah.
But I am feeling that this type of dynamic will become more common in many markets where buyers really don't have money. They're barely scraping by for a down payment.
so here's
And-
what I would tell you guys. Don't work with first-time home buyers if that's your problem. Work with homeowners, target homeowners, target people that already have equity, target people that have purchased, target people who are financially more stable, right? That sounds like really bad to say on a training, but home ownership has dwindled for first-time home buyers to the lowest ever. I think it's like 18% or something. So why would you want to get rid of the 82% that could buy for the 18 that need help? It's not our look. It's, well, I really feel attached to first-time home buyers and I really want to help them. Fine, then you're going to deal with low price, credit, affordability issues. You have accepted that fate, and now you just have to get really good at having those conversations around compensation. Right? You have to be really good at that. You've accepted that fate as that's your niche. Helena, no worries. That there's nothing wrong with that. But I'll tell you, if you got to pick between rich people and poor people, right? There's nothing wrong with either one, and both are fine to service. But people with more money tend to have less money problems than people with less money. And people with more money tend to have a higher time value than people with less money. So people with a lot of money, they want somebody else to do everything for them. And they're willing to pay top dollar for that. People with less money are willing to do I'll go figure it out on my own work because they have more time and they have less value for their time. I want people who value our time and your time. But the way you get to be with people that are making more money, right? The way you get to be hanging out with people more money is you have to have better systems and processes. Because if you go to a nice restaurant and it's, let's say, $100 a steak, do you expect the service from the minute you walk into the restaurant to the minute you leave to be a certain caliber than if it's a $25 steak? I do. And you show up differently to the $100 steak than the $25 steak. You mentally show up differently. This is psychology. This is understanding consumer behavior. And so when your process is a 3, then you're going to get referred to people who expect a 3. When your process is a 9 and a 10, they're not going to send you to people who expect a 3. They're going to send you to the 9s and the 10s. The way we get into a higher price point isn't by wishful thinking. The way we get into a higher price point is showing that they can send us to their friends who have a lot of money because they know we're going to save them time by spending it up front to save it on the back. Because doctors and lawyers and dentists would rather spend a lot more time planning and a lot less time doing. Poor people with less money would rather spend a little bit of time planning and a lot more time doing because they have a low value of time, right? So my housekeeper is willing to take my bike bag that's broken, because I broke it, the zipper, all the way to the center of town, spend 2 hours waiting there, and bring it back for a very small amount of money. I would not be willing to do that, which is why it sat in my bathroom for the last 3 months. But now I'm like, oh, I might need to travel. I need to fix it. People with money value time. People with time don't value money. So when you're looking at your process, the reason you build this, right? The reason you build the process and the reason why you follow the 7-figure list buyer playbook is because it gets you to those buyers that are at a higher price point, because they value the work you've put in. And don't get me wrong, they're not going to not negotiate for some commission off or for some discounts based off of your fee. I don't know what your fees are. The industry says it's 3% per side, but that's not true, because I've seen 1,100 buyer and selling commission statements, and I rarely see 3 and 3 on each side. Sometimes I see 6 total, but I see 3.5 and 2.5. Sometimes I see 7 and it's 4.5 and 2.5. Sometimes I see 4 and it's 1 to the listing and 3 to the buyers. I don't know how this shit happens, but I very rarely seen 6 across the board. I've seen 6 in bonuses. I've seen 4 in discounts. It's your commission that you are willing to work for, and they're still going to want something back from it, because that's what smart people do. They try to get a good deal. But the better your process is, the less they ask for that. Good? Gotta go, you guys. Was this helpful today? Do you see why the process matters more than anything else that you can do? Do you see why your process is the most important thing you can work on? You don't need more leads. You don't need to worry about your social media right now, right? Yes, you do need leads at some point, but you need to build the confidence and the foundation so that when you talk to your leads, you don't waste your money on those leads. You don't waste your money on the social media. I got 16,000 social media people. How many sales did you do from there? Well, 0. Why? Well, because I didn't know what to say. I've worked with those people before, like literally 16,000. This girl got 8 DMs a week to go show apartments right up the street from you, Edwin, in Chicagoland. You know how many sales she did in 2022 from that? 0. We worked together for 4 months. She did 6 transactions from her social media. She made more money in that 4 months than she made in 2 years of building her social media, because she finally figured out what to say. And her price point went from $350,000 to $750,000. And her referrals. I'm not saying don't do your social, Camila. I'm not saying don't. You're doing both, which is fine. Most people try to do the first one, and then they're like, oh, well, this shit don't work. That's what I'm saying. All right, guys, love you. I appreciate you. Keep studying 30 minutes. Wake up early, 30 minutes a day. Just wake up early, 30 minutes a day. I promise you your life will change in a matter of 45 to 60 days. Peace out. Thank you, Janet. Appreciate you. How do I get out of here? Have a great day.
Not sure why it's going 3 to 4. That's not sure why it's so there's some sort of glitch that's causing them to show the 3 doesn't make any sense. I looked everywhere, can't really figure out why it's doing that, but it's